ChatGPT said. Have you ever held a coin in your hand that could quietly change your entire life? A coin that looks so ordinary, yet could be worth more than a luxury home, a fleet of cars, or the retirement of your dreams. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a 25-cent piece from 1976, and realizing it's worth nearly $874,000 and in rare cases, even millions. Sounds unbelievable. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why one small piece of American history, the 1976 Bicentennial D-Mint Mark Quarter Dollar, has collectors, investors, and even ordinary Americans on the edge of their seats. But before we dive into the details, here's a question. How many times have you looked at the coins sitting in that dusty jar on your dresser and thought they're just change? You might want to rethink that, because today, one of those forgotten quarters could be your ticket to wealth, freedom, and legacy. The story of the Bicentennial Quarter isn't just about money. It's about the spirit of a nation. It's about how something minted in 1976 to celebrate America's 200th birthday has transformed into a golden opportunity for those who pay attention. Let's rewind to 1776, the year America declared its independence. 200 years later, in 1976, the United States Mint decided to honor that monumental anniversary with a special design. The reverse of the coin featured the image of a colonial drummer, a symbol of the Revolution, and a victory torch surrounded by 13 stars, one for each original colony. It wasn't just another coin. It was a tribute to freedom, resilience, and American pride. And here's where the story takes a fascinating turn. Over 800 million of these bicentennial quarters were minted between Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Most were spent, lost, or forgotten. But very few were struck with unique characteristics: minting errors, rare compositions, and pristine conditions that make them unbelievably valuable today. Now, here's the question that gets coin collectors' hearts racing. What makes the 1976 D-Mint Mark Quarter, the one from Denver, so special? Well, it comes down to three things: rarity, condition, and the mysteries of minting. Some of these Denver minted quarters were struck on silver planchettes, even though they were supposed to be copper nickel. Others have unusual die breaks, double strikes, or off-center designs that make them one of a kind. Combine that with an uncirculated, proof-like shine and a sharp strike hand, suddenly you're looking at a coin that could fetch hundreds of thousands of dollars. One such specimen sold recently for $874,000. Yes, a 25-cent coin. Why? Because it was flawless, had the rare silver composition, and was authenticated by a top-tier grading company as an exceptionally scarce example of a bicentennial D quarter. Imagine that for a moment. The same coin you might have tossed into a vending machine could have been worth nearly $1 million. How many of us have unknowingly let a fortune slip through our fingers? This isn't just a collector's fantasy. It's a financial wake-up call. Because as inflation rises and digital currencies dominate headlines, tangible assets like rare coins are becoming the new treasure class. But here's the twist. Not all 1976 quarters are valuable. And that's where so many people go wrong. The market is flooded with common versions worth, well, 25 cents. But the rare ones hide in plain sight. So, how can you tell if your bicentennial quarter is worth serious money? Start with the mint mark. Look for the tiny D right next to Washington's hair tie on the obverse the front side of the coin. That D stands for Denver Mint, and it's your first clue. Then, check the edges. A genuine silver planchette will have a solid silver edge, not the copper stripe you see on most modern quarters. Next, inspect the condition. If your coin looks brand new, no scratches, no wear, full luster, it could be mint state. And that alone can multiply its value. Grading services like PCGs or NGC can officially certify it, and once graded, the coin's market value can skyrocket. Now, let's inject a little reality check. Imagine your friend saying, "It's just a quarter." You laugh, toss it in a jar, and forget about it. A few years later, someone else finds the same coin, gets it graded, and sells it for $874,000. You'd probably want to jump in a time machine, right? Humor aside, the truth is, most people overlook the wealth hiding in plain sight. Old pennies, rare nickels, misprinted dimes, they all tell a story. And that story could change your financial destiny if you pay attention. Let's talk about why this particular coin has exploded in value. Part of it comes from nostalgia. The 1970s marked a time of reflection for America. The bicentennial celebrations were everywhere. People decorated homes, parades filled the streets. And these coins circulated as everyday reminders of the country's journey. For collectors, that emotional connection adds layers of worth. But for investors, the equation is simple. Rarity plus demand equals massive value. And as coin collecting evolves, so does the market. The internet has opened global access, bringing millions of buyers and sellers together. A coin once traded at a local antique shop can now spark bidding wars across continents. Here's another little-known fact that gives the 1976 D quarter its magic. Some were struck with proof dies at the Denver Mint by accident. That means the coin has mirror-like surfaces and razor-sharp details, a rarity that wasn't supposed to exist. When one of these surfaces at auction, collectors go wild. Now, let's pause for a second. Think about how many coins you've handled in your lifetime. Thousands. Tens of thousands. What if, buried somewhere in that collection, lies one piece that could change everything? That's the emotional heartbeat of this story. The thrill of discovery. The fear of missing out. The excitement of possibility. And that quiet voice whispering, maybe you already have it. But here's where the urgency kicks in. The market for rare coins is shifting fast. As more people learn about these hidden treasures, prices rise and availability drops. Coins that once sold for a few $100s now go for hundreds of thousands. The window to capitalize on this opportunity is closing fast. So if you've got old change sitting in jars, drawers, or inherited collections, now is the time to act. Take them out. Examine them carefully. Learn the difference between circulated and uncirculated, because that curiosity could be worth a fortune. And let's be honest, we all dream of financial freedom, of waking up one morning and realizing we've hit a quiet jackpot. But freedom rarely comes from luck. It comes from knowledge and awareness. The people who understand value before the world catches on are the ones who win. That's what separates the average spender from the strategic collector. Let's zoom out for a moment. The 1976 Bicentennial Quarter symbolizes more than just financial gain. It's a bridge between generations, a piece of metal that connects. 1776, the birth of independence to today's pursuit of wealth and opportunity. Owning one isn't just owning a coin. It's holding a slice of American legacy. And yes, there's competition. Investors, collectors, and even celebrities are diving into numismatics, the art of coin collecting, as a stable hedge against uncertainty. When markets shake and currencies fluctuate, tangible history holds its value. Picture yourself selling one of these coins at auction. The auctioneer's voice rises. $800,850. Sold at $874,000. Cameras flash. People applaud, and you walk away knowing your discovery just secured your future. That's not fantasy. It's happening to real people right now. Of course, not every coin will bring riches. But here's the thing. You'll never know unless you look. And even if your bicentennial quarter isn't the jackpot, the process of searching ignites something powerful. It reconnects you with history, with curiosity, with the American spirit of possibility. So, let's summarize what we've uncovered. The 1976 Bicentennial Quarter stands out because it commemorates 200 years of U.S. independence. It was minted in Denver, with potential silver errors. Exceptional condition and grading can turn it into a 6- or 7-figure treasure. And right now, the market value for the rarest example sits around $874,000 and rising. So, what should you do next? Start by checking your coins. Visit a local coin dealer or send them for grading. Educate yourself on how to spot minting errors. And most importantly, don't underestimate the small things. Because in the world of collectibles, small things often have the biggest impact. There's an old saying among numismatists, every coin has a story, but only a few tell fortunes. The question is, will yours be one of them? Before you go, remember this. The world is full of opportunities disguised as ordinary moments. Sometimes they hide in plain sight in a dusty jar, an old drawer, or the palm of your hand. So, take that coin you've ignored for years. Hold it up to the light. Because who knows, you might not just be holding history. You might be holding your future. And when that moment comes, when you realize that a single 25-cent coin can unlock the life you've always dreamed of, you'll understand what every successful collector already knows. Wealth isn't always minted in dollars. Sometimes it's minted in awareness. Now, go check your change. Your $1 million moment could be waiting for you right now. Before you roll your eyes or think this sounds too good to be true, stay with me. Because what I'm about to reveal could make you look at every coin in your home with completely new eyes. You're about to learn why a 25-cent coin from 1993 can be worth more than a luxury house, and how to find out if you've been holding one of these rare treasures all along. It all began with a mystery, buried deep in the U.S. Mint's history. In 1993, millions of Washington quarters rolled off the Denver Mint's production lines. Most were standard issue common, unremarkable, and worth exactly a quarter. But among them, a few were struck with microscopic errors. Minting anomalies so subtle that even experienced collectors missed them for decades. One of these rare Mint-era coins surfaced recently at an auction and stunned the numismatic world when the bidding climbed past $866,000. And here's the wild part: experts suspect there are more out there, unaccounted for, possibly sitting in coin jars, dresser drawers, or shoeboxes across America. Now, let's rewind for a moment. What makes this coin so special? To the untrained eye, it looks like every other quarter minted in 1993, but beneath its surface lies a perfect storm of rarity, condition, and historical quirks that skyrocketed its value. The key, the mint mark D, representing the Denver Mint combined with a rare die misalignment and a sharp, full strike. Some versions even display what's known as a double die obverse, meaning parts of George Washington's profile appear doubled, a result of a tiny shift during the minting process. Add pristine condition, what collectors call MS68 or proof-like, and you've got the kind of rarity that sends collectors into a frenzy. If you've ever wondered why some coins fetch hundreds of thousands while others collect dust, this is the perfect example. It's not just age that determines value, it's scarcity, condition, and story. And this 1993 D quarter has all three. Imagine finding one in your old coin collection. That single coin could erase debts, fund retirement, or even buy that dream house you've been quietly scrolling through online listings for years. But here's the thing most people never check. They assume their pocket change is worthless, missing out on the hidden gold mine sitting right under their noses. Now, you might be thinking, come on, how likely is it that I have one? Fair question. But let's not forget, every great discovery starts with someone who asked the same question. The person who found the $866,000 quarter wasn't a seasoned collector or a millionaire investor. They were an everyday American who decided to look twice before spending that coin at a grocery store. This is where the story takes a thrilling turn. Experts estimate that fewer than a dozen of these rare 1993D error quarters exist. That scarcity is what gives them astronomical value. But the kicker? The average person can't spot one without knowing what to look for. The doubling on the obverse, the clean edge, the uncirculated shine-all tiny details that could separate a fortune from a mere 25 cents. So, if you're watching this right now, I want you to think about your own coins. Maybe your father left you a jar of quarters, or you've got an old collection tucked away somewhere. Take a moment and imagine holding a single coin that could change your life. Because it's not a fantasy, it's a very real possibility. Before we dive into exactly how to identify these valuable coins, let me share something most people don't know about the U.S. Mint, the Denver facility. One of the busiest in the nation, produces billions of coins each year. And when production ramps up, mistakes happen. Tiny imperfections in the diiso's metal stamps that imprint the coin can lead to rare variations. These are not intentional designs. They're flukes of history. Yet it's those very flukes that make collectors go wild. The 1993D Washington quarter is a prime example. Its rarity wasn't planned, it was born out of human error. Machinery wear and timing. You could call it an accidental masterpiece. Now, let's get into the part that could put money in your pocket. How do you know if your 1993D quarter is worth a fortune? Start with the mint mark. The D should be clear, crisp, and positioned precisely above the R in quarter dollar. Next, examine George Washington's face under magnification. If you see doubling around the eye, lips, or hairline, that's your first clue. Flip it over and inspect the E-Glore in 1993. The heraldic design. Look for uneven details or off-centered elements. Finally, check for luster. Coins that shine as if they've never been touched are in uncirculated condition and command the highest value. At this point, you might feel a surge of excitement or maybe even anxiety. Because what if you already had one of these coins and spent it years ago? What if that quarter you used at a car wash or vending machine was your hidden jackpot? It's a chilling thought. And that fear, that sense of what if I missed it, is exactly why collectors are scouring their coin jars right now. But here's the good news. It's not too late. These coins are still out there. Every few months, new discoveries surface, sometimes from unexpected places. Estate sales, coin roll hunts, inherited collections, even dusty old jars in garages. You just need to know what you're looking for now. If you're thinking this sounds like a treasure hunt, you're absolutely right. But unlike fantasy treasure maps, this one is real. The tools are simple: a magnifying glass, patience, and curiosity. And the payoff, potentially life-changing. Let me share a quick story. A man in Texas recently found a 1993D quarter in near-mint condition. He almost spent it at a convenience store, but decided to hold on to it after noticing its unusually sharp detail. He had it appraised and it sold for over $15,000. Not quite the $866,000 jackpot, but still, not bad for a coin worth 25 cents. Stories like that aren't rare anymore. They're becoming more common as people start paying attention. So what's driving these soaring prices? Simple economics. Rarity plus demand. As more collectors enter the market, the value of high-grade and error coins skyrockets. The internet has made coin collecting more accessible, and online auctions often turn into bidding wars. A coin once valued at $1,000 5 years ago might be worth 20 times that today. The 1993D quarter is a textbook case of this trend. Climbing from relative obscurity to near mythical status among collectors. And it's not just about money, it's about history, legacy, and the thrill of discovery. Every rare coin tells a story of craftsmanship, imperfection, and chance. When you hold one, you're holding a piece of American history that outlived economic cycles, political changes, and generations of spenders. But let's pause for a second, because I know what you might be thinking. Even if I find one, how do I sell it? Who buys these coins? Great question, and an important one. The truth is, there's a thriving market for rare U.S. coins. Certified dealers, auction houses, and online platforms eager to buy. But here's the catch: you need certification. Before you rush to list your coin online, send it to a trusted grading service like PCG's or NGC. Their authentication can multiply your coin's value, ensuring you're not underselling your hidden treasure. Now, let's inject a little humor to reset our attention. Picture yourself explaining to your friends that your financial plan for retirement is hunting quarters. They might laugh until you show them the appraisal report for $866,000. Suddenly, they'll start checking their own change too. You see? This isn't just about coins, it's about perspective. Most people chase wealth in the stock market or real estate, but forget that small fortunes can hide in everyday places. Sometimes, the key to wealth is simply awareness. There's a lesson here beyond the metal and mint marks. Opportunities often appear ordinary at first glance. Whether it's a coin, a business idea, or an investment, those who look closer, who stay curious, are the ones who uncover value where others see nothing. And that brings us to the heart of this story. The 1993 quarter isn't just a rare coin, it's a symbol. A reminder that wealth is often hidden in plain sight, that our most valuable opportunities can appear small, insignificant, or even boring until we recognize what they truly are. So, what should you do now? Start looking. Check your change, your coin jars, your old collections. Ask your parents or grandparents if they have coins from the early 90s. Take each one seriously. Because if you find that one special quarter, your life could change forever. Imagine the moment you realize you've struck gold, or in this case, silver and copper. The thrill, the disbelief, the rush of adrenaline as you realize that little 25-cent coin could buy you a house, car, or the freedom to live on your terms. That's not just a fantasy, that's the reward of curiosity, patience, and awareness. And if you do find one, hold on to it. Because experts believe the market for rare U.S. coins will continue to rise as demand from global collectors surges. The $866,000 record might soon be shattered. The next sale could cross $1 million, and it could be your coin that sets the new benchmark. Think about that. A single coin, minted over 3 decades ago, forgotten by most, could become your ticket to wealth. The kind of wealth that changes not just your life, but your family's future. So tonight, when you empty your pockets or glance at your spare change jar, take a closer look. That ordinary quarter could be anything but ordinary. You might just be holding history in your hand and the opportunity of a lifetime, because sometimes the smallest things carry the biggest fortunes. And who knows? The next $1 million discovery might be sitting quietly in your pocket right now, waiting for you to notice. What if that little piece of metal sitting in your kitchen bowl is the key to a wealthy, worry-free lifestyle? Because for a few lucky people, that dream is very real. This isn't just a story about coins. It's a story about hidden treasures, lost opportunities, and the quiet power of knowing what you hold in your hands. So before you toss that spare change into a vending machine or tip jar, you might want to take a closer look. Let's dive into the incredible story of the 1996 D quarter, the coin that's shocking collectors and auction houses across America. Back in 1996, the U.S. Mint in Denver produced hundreds of millions of quarters. To most people, it was just pocket change, a means to buy a soda or feed a parking meter. But among those countless coins, a few rare pieces slipped through the cracks. These coins weren't just another batch. They had errors, minting quirks, and unique characteristics that made them stand apart. And that's where the story begins. One such coin, a 1996 D quarter, surfaced in a private auction, flawless in its luster, perfectly struck and graded at the highest level by experts. It wasn't just another coin. It was a masterpiece of minting history. The bidding started small, but as collectors realized what was in front of them, the price skyrocketed. The final hammer came down at a jaw-dropping $855,000. Can you imagine that moment? Watching a coin you might have once used to buy gum being sold for more than the cost of a luxury home. The fear that creeps in right after is real. What if you've already spent one of those coins? What if that piece of history passed right through your hands? Now, before you rush to dig through your couch cushions, let's talk about what makes the 1996 D quarter so valuable. Because understanding why it's rare is the key to spotting one yourself. First, it's the minting details. The D stands for the Denver Mint, one of the primary U.S. mint facilities. In 1996, most Denver quarters were perfectly ordinary, but a small batch had striking errors, double dies, off-center strikes, and in some cases, an unusually sharp or misaligned mint mark. Combine that with pristine condition, no scratches, no wear, no handling, Nan, you have a potential gold mine. Collectors pay exponentially more for coins in mint state, often graded MS68 or MS69 by the professional coin grading service. And here's where things get interesting. Some of these coins weren't even in circulation. They were tucked away, forgotten in government sets, safety boxes, or old collections passed down through generations. So, ask yourself, when was the last time you really looked at your old coins? But rarity alone doesn't make a coin worth nearly $1 million. The emotional value, the story behind the mint, and the demand among collectors are what ignite the bidding wars. Think of it like this. There are thousands of cars on the road, but only one 1962 Ferrari 250 GTO is worth $70 million. It's about history, condition, and uniqueness. Coins are no different. And here's the kicker: most people have no clue they own these rare pieces. Every year, Coin collectors and metal detectors uncover forgotten treasures worth life-changing amounts. One man in Illinois found a rare 1996 D quarter in a pile of change and sold it for over $25,000 before realizing a higher-graded version could have been worth hundreds of thousands more. Painful, isn't it? To think that you could be sitting on a small fortune without knowing it. But here's the exciting part. It's not too late. If you're watching this, you're already ahead of most people. Because awareness is everything. The people who cash in on these finds aren't lucky, they're informed. So here's what you should do. First, gather all your quarters minted in 1996. Flip them over and look for the D under "In God We Trust." A tiny letter could change your life. Examine it closely. Look for any unusual doubling of the date, faint lines around Washington's head, or a misplaced mint mark. These are the subtle clues that separate an ordinary coin from a six-figure rarity. Next, check the condition. The cleaner, the better. If it looks untouched, like it just rolled off the press yesterday, that's a good sign. Never clean a coin yourself seriously. Don't. Cleaning can destroy the value instantly, and then get it professionally graded. It costs a little, but if your coin turns out to be one of those rare, high-grade pieces, that small investment could bring you an incredible return. Here's a question. If you knew one of your coins could be worth $855,000, would you still treat your change jar the same way? That's the funny thing about value. It hides in plain sight. Most people chase wealth in complicated ways: stocks, crypto, businesses, but sometimes wealth is sitting quietly in your kitchen drawer. And when you think about it, it's a reminder of something deeper. The universe has a way of rewarding curiosity. Those who pay attention, who look closer, who don't dismiss the small things, those are the ones who find fortune. So maybe this isn't just about coins. Maybe it's about awareness, opportunity, and the willingness to look again at what you already have. Let's pause for a second. What if I told you that there are still undiscovered 1996 D quarters out there right now? That some could be hiding in circulation, waiting to be found by someone just like you. Because that's the truth. Experts believe several ungraded, pristine versions of these quarters are still out there sitting in collections, jars, and forgotten corners of American homes. And as the years go by, their value only increases. Time is the enemy and the opportunity. The longer you wait, the fewer uncirculated coins remain. And as scarcity rises, so does price. You don't want to look back 5 years from now and realize you missed your shot because you never bothered to check. Now, here's where it gets thrilling. The coin collecting world, also known as numismatics, is exploding right now. Demand for rare U.S. coins has surged. Major auction houses are setting record-breaking sales every few months. Baby boomers and retirees are cashing out their collections. And younger investors, tired of volatile markets, are turning to tangible assets like gold, silver, and rare coins. That means your old pocket change could be more valuable today than ever before. In fact, one financial analyst recently noted that coins like the 1996 D quarter are part of a broader numismatic boom. A growing market driven by nostalgia, scarcity, and the search for secure assets. So, while others are chasing risky investments, you could be sitting on one that's literally made of precious metal land already. It's proven to increase in value. And let's not forget the emotional side of it. Imagine calling your spouse, your kids, or your grandkids to tell them you just found a coin worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. The disbelief, the excitement, the sense of destiny. That's the magic of these stories. They remind us that wealth can appear in unexpected places. It's not always about chasing something new. Sometimes it's about rediscovering what you already own. So, tonight, when you empty your pockets or open that drawer full of spare change, do it with curiosity. That small act could mark the beginning of your transformation. From an ordinary day to an extraordinary discovery. But don't just stop at one coin. Once you start learning about coin values, a whole new world opens up. The 1996 D quarter is just the beginning. There are 1970 quarters worth over $35,000, 1982 pennies worth thousands, and even state quarters from the early 2000s that collectors are paying small fortunes for, especially with unique minting errors. The more you learn, the more you find. And every discovery builds your confidence, your expertise, and yes, your potential wealth. This is where knowledge meets opportunity, and that's a combination most people never explore. Here's a funny thought. You've probably spent hundreds of quarters in your life. You've bought parking time, snacks, maybe even laundry loads. How many of those coins could have been worth more than your car? It's both funny and terrifying, isn't it? That's why education matters. The coin collectors who find life-changing pieces aren't just lucky, they're curious enough to look, patient enough to learn, and smart enough to verify, so don't underestimate your own potential to uncover something incredible as we reach the end of this story. Think about what this means for you personally. You don't need to be a professional collector to profit from rare coins. You just need curiosity, awareness, and a willingness to act. Because opportunities don't always announce themselves, they often jingle quietly in your pocket. The 1996 D Mint Mark Quarter is proof of that. A coin minted for 25 cents. Now commanding prices of up to $855,000. That's not just a story about money. It's a reminder that hidden wealth exists everywhere, waiting for the person bold enough to look. So go ahead. Open that old coin jar. Check those rolls of quarters. Look closer at what's been right in front of you all along, because the next million-dollar story might begin in your very own hands. And when it does, remember, you didn't just find a coin. You found proof that wealth, opportunity, and destiny can appear in the smallest, most unexpected forms. All it takes is one moment of attention to change everything.
Imagine reaching into an old drawer, pulling out some spare change, and realizing that one of those coins is worth nearly $1 million. Sounds like something out of a movie, right? But today, I'm going to reveal the extraordinary truth about the 1776 to 1976 bicentennial quarter that has stunned collectors, investors, and everyday people across the United States. One of these coins recently sold for a staggering $966,000. The question is, could you have one hiding in plain sight? Now, before you rush to your coin jar, stay with me, because in the next few minutes I'll uncover the hidden details, the dramatic rise in value, and the exact reason these rare coins are worth more than most luxury cars. By the end, you'll know whether you might be holding a piece of history that could change your financial future. Let's go back to the beginning. The year is 1976. America is celebrating its bicentennial, 200 years of independence. The nation is in a patriotic frenzy, fireworks, parades, and for the first time in history, special circulating coins. The U.S. Mint released quarters, half dollars, and dollar coins featuring unique designs honoring that milestone. On the quarter, you'll see the famous image of a colonial drummer boy, standing tall with the spirit of revolution. Over the years, billions of these bicentennial quarters were struck, and most ended up in cash registers, vending machines, and piggy banks. So what makes one of them worth almost $1 million today? Here's the twist. Not all coins are created equal. While most bicentennial quarters are worth only 25 cents, a few extraordinary examples, due to rare minting errors, pristine condition, or unusual compositions, have skyrocketed in value. These are the hidden gems, the treasures buried among the ordinary. And when one surfaces, collectors will pay astonishing sums. Just imagine the feeling of spotting one in your pocket and realizing you're holding enough money to buy a house. But here's the part many people don't want you to know. Millions of Americans are unknowingly sitting on coins that could change their lives, yet they treat them like spare change. Why? Because they don't know what to look for. And that ignorance costs them dearly. Picture this: someone spends a bicentennial quarter at the gas station, and the clerk tosses it in the till without a second thought. That could have been a $966,000 coin slipping through their fingers forever. Doesn't that thought send a chill down your spine? Now, before you start checking every single quarter, here's the exciting part. Certain features instantly set apart the valuable ones. Proof-like surfaces, double strikes, off-center minting, and coins struck on silver planchets instead of copper nickel, all of these are signals that your quarter may be worth a fortune. And it's not just collectors driving up the price. Investors, desperate for safe assets in uncertain economic times, are pouring money into rare coins. They know that while paper currency loses value, historical treasures like these only grow in worth. That urgency is creating a frenzy unlike anything we've seen in decades, and if you're wondering whether it's too late to profit, the answer is no. In fact, the market is heating up right now. With record-breaking sales making headlines, more buyers are entering the arena, pushing values higher and higher. The $966,000 bicentennial quarter is not an anomaly, it's a signal of what's coming. Some experts believe the next one to surface could break the $1 million mark. Imagine being the person who cashes in on that. So here's the question you need to ask yourself: have you checked your coins yet? If not, why not? Procrastination could be costing you a fortune. While you wait, someone else could be walking into an auction with a quarter they found in their grandmother's collection and walking out with life-changing money. Now, I know what you're thinking: what are the odds I actually have one of these rare quarters? Fair question. But let me flip that around. What are the odds you don't? With hundreds of millions of bicentennial quarters still in circulation and countless more tucked away in boxes, the possibility is very real. And remember, it only takes one coin to rewrite your financial story. One coin to move you closer to the wealthy lifestyle you've always imagined. And here's a little humor to lighten the tension: wouldn't it be ironic if you spent $1 million coin on a cup of coffee that wasn't even good? That's the kind of story you don't want to tell your grandkids. So where does this leave us? Right here, on the edge of possibility. In a world where everyday people are discovering extraordinary wealth in the most unexpected places. In a moment where history and fortune collide in the palm of your hand, that if you're serious about living a wealthy lifestyle, about seizing opportunities instead of letting them pass you by, then the time to act is now. Start searching. Educate yourself. Look at every coin as if it could be the one, because it just might be, and in our next episode, I'm going to reveal a coin even rarer than the Bicentennial Quarter, a coin that most people don't even know exists. But for now, remember this, one simple quarter could be worth nearly $1 million. The only question is, will it be yours?